adolescent girl who loves fairy tales learns that they are not what they're cracked up to be.
This is Ryan.
And this is Ashley.
And this is Ruining Our Childhood presents Are We Still Afraid of the Dark?
Are we?
We are.
We're here.
Yeah.
Again.
After a almost 2-month break.
Yeah. Season 2.
What?
Finally.
Yeah.
And this season won't take 2 years to make.
We say that now. But it could.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Knowing us. No, I'm hoping that we can get season 2 done fully with season 2, if that makes sense.
Season 2 of this podcast
is also season 2 of Are You Afraid of the Dark? Which, Hi guys, that's what this podcast is about.
Yeah. We watched the sweet 1990s classic, Are You Afraid of the Dark?
And we talk about it like we are going to do right now.
Yes.
So, the first episode of season 2 is called The Tale of the Final Wish.
Mm-hmm.
It originally aired June 19th, 1993, and it's a Kristen story. Yeah. So you know it's good.
Kristen.
Yeah, hit us with the first category.
Okay. Our first category is called Well, Hello There, where we talk about any famous or recognizable actors that we may have forgot were in the episode. And there was actually a big one.
Yeah, for 90s.
Yeah, for 90s.
And 80s. It's a
person.
Person.
He's a person.
Yeah.
But who was the first person that you noticed?
That was the only person I noticed. But I will say the main character, Jill, is played by an actress named Samantha Camerica. And she wasn't really in anything other than this.
Yeah.
And a couple episodes of Are You Afraid of the Dark, so...
I did write down her parents and looked them up, and they're actually in some things.
Oh, okay.
The mom is played by Jane Wheeler, and she was in the movie Journey to the Center of the Earth with Dwayne Johnson.
Oh, okay.
And a little Ashley favorite called The Bold Type.
What?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to... What was she listed as?
I can't remember what episode she's in, but I think it was the most recent season.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The father, a.k.a. Dad, is played by Ian Finley, and he was in the TV show Quantico.
Oh, okay.
With Priyanka Chopra, and then also he played a newsman in the movie Birdman with Michael Keaton and Emma Stone.
Neat.
So yeah, they've been in
some things. For sure.
Yeah.
So the one cameo we're talking about, which I would say is probably the biggest get that we've seen in this series.
Yes.
His Bobcat Goldthwait. Is that how you say his last
name?
I never know how to say his last name.
If we're saying it wrong, someone can let us know, but that's how I would say it.
Yeah. He plays the Sandman, and, he's been in a bunch of things in the 80s and 90s. He's a comedian, right?
Yeah.
He was in Scrooged.
Yes.
And he did a voice for Hercules.
Did the voice of Pain.
That's true. Who did the voice of Panic? Was it somebody famous?
I think it's somebody famous, but I can't place it.
Oh, but Pain and Panic were the sidekicks of
Hades.
Hades. I couldn't think of his name.
I could tell. That's why I chimed in.
Thank you.
The thing I remember Bobcat from was that TV show Unhappily Ever After, where it was kind of like
he
Married
talked to
with
the bunny.
Children. Yeah, he was the bunny.
He was the voice of the bunny. Yeah. I remember that show.
I watched it a little bit.
Me too.
He was my favorite part. Mr. Floppy.
The dad would go downstairs and he'd be talking to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think there was some unimplied drug use there if he was talking to a stuffed animal.
Or mental health issues.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly, yeah.
Stress, maybe. Depression.
Yeah.
Animals don't usually talk back to you, especially stuffed animals.
There's sometimes I look at Rupert and he is talking to me, just with his eyes.
Rupert is our dog. I don't know if we've talked about Rupert on this podcast.
I don't know.
Yeah.
He is our producer.
Yes.
And we have a second dog named Quinn, who is our newly hired sound girl.
Sound gal.
Sound gal.
Yes.
I apologize.
Yeah.
So if you don't like the sound quality of our episode, you know who to blame.
A dog.
A dog.
I did want to mention that there are two characters in this story. One named Stacy, who is Jill's friend, and one named Rick, who is a boy that her friends and she kind of likes. Mm-hmm. And they look very, very familiar, but IMDb does not have them listed in the cast, and I cannot place them, and it's going to hurt my head. So if you know who the actor is that plays Rick on this episode, please let me know on Instagram. Just slide into our DMs. Just slide in there.
Slide in.
Let me know. Or Stacy. But Rick is...
First slide.
The Rick character is bothering me the most. Mm-hmm. I can see him as an adult man.
I was irritated in the sense that there was a queen character, evil queen.
Yeah.
There was this Rick character and friends, and these people had lines.
Yes.
And we can't find who they were. And we even watched like through the credits, and they're like, no, it's listed. Just the family.
Yeah.
Like, no, there was a lot of people in this episode. Usually the episodes have a very small cast of like 4 people. Not the case.
No. But anyway, I digress. Mm-hmm. Shall we move on to the plot?
Yes, we shall.
So let's get digging into the plot and plot holes and some red flags.
There you go.
It's no longer its own category.
We're just going to bring it all into one.
Yes.
All into one.
It's just seamless plot holes, red flags, just, whatever we want to talk about in this category. Give us your plot analysis.
So what I gather is this young lady named Jill, who is 13 years old.
Okay.
Because they do tell us her age, is somehow too into fairy tales by her family's standards.
Right.
But I don't think she is.
Okay.
That was my opinion. She's seen the dark side of the fairy tales through her dreams, would you say?
Sure.
Yeah.
The end.
Yeah.
Where are you going with this, right?
I was waiting for you to chime in about some of the plot, too.
Oh, I was asking you for your take.
Well, that was my take on the plot.
I mean, I agree. I'm glad you pointed out that she doesn't seem to have, like, this big problem. But I also think a 13-year-old should be allowed to still have an imagination. And throughout this whole episode, she's constantly being told by her family and friends that she sucks.
Yeah.
Basically, because she has an interest, and she shouldn't have an interest, apparently. That's
exactly what I was thinking was, we have a nephew who's 10, and I can't picture when he's 13. Do you just wake up and in everyone's eyes you should flip a switch and everything you were into growing up, which you're still growing up, you can't be into anymore if it's considered kiddie.
Well, and also, I'm just thinking in the sense that maybe, when she's a little older, she's going to be a writer or something and use her imagination, be creative. So all these people are trying to like stifle her creativity at such an early age.
So true.
But I mean, I can think of people like when I was a kid, if there was like kids that were playing with toys too long, or if they were into something that is nerdy, people were always there to remind them that they sucked and what they were doing was stupid.
I think about, I'm an adult, and I have... This is a mind blower, folks. I'm an adult. I have a wrestling figure collection.
Yeah.
We have pop figures.
We like toys.
We like building Legos.
Yeah.
All things that I'm sure the minute you hit 13, that goes out the window. You shouldn't be doing that.
I do remember there was a certain age, and it was probably around puberty, where there was that pressure to forget all the childish things that you liked.
Oh, absolutely.
And
no, I totally did go away from those things for a few years. It was when I became an adult and I could buy the things.
Yeah, and also you didn't care as much.
Yeah.
About what people thought of you.
Well, and also, I wasn't having wrestling matches with my wrestling figures. They were collectibles on the wall. But I mean, if you want to play with them, knock your socks off. Like,
knock your socks off.
Do what makes you happy.
I think I find, if we want to just kind of transition to plot holes, the one thing I find kind of a plot hole is the fact that her parents are equally as like, why are you into fairy tales? Gross. I can totally understand her friends being that way because they're also 13. So, of course, they're going to deflect and be like, she's a nerd and we're cool because we're or at least we're cooler than her, you know. But her parents should be supportive of her no matter what, right? Obviously, we kind of touched on the fact that she has these dreams and it's actually a nightmare. Mm-hmm. At the end of the episode, she learns that fairy tales aren't, you know, what the plot said, what they're cracked up to be. Mm-hmm. Like earlier in the episode, her mom is mad at her because she's in the bathroom putting on clothes and trying to decide what hat to wear.
Yes.
And her mom's like, you need to stop being so childish. You're going to make me late for work, which I'm like, her getting dressed is her being childish? Okay. But then at the end of the episode, Jill makes this like announcement that she's going to stop caring about fairy tales as much. And her mom's like, just don't give up on the kid inside. And I'm like, the same mom who said to give up the kid inside because the kid inside was making her late for work.
I did think the whole part at the end where she apologized for being a pain. And I was going, how were you being a pain? Your brother's a dick.
Yes.
And your parents are awful. You're not the problem here. You're being a 13-year-old kid.
Yeah.
You have an imagination. You've had a nightmare. When I was a kid and I had a nightmare, I went in and told my parents I had a nightmare.
I will say the second time in the beginning of the episode, she wakes up her parents because somebody grabs her from under the bed. She thinks it's a monster. It's her brother playing a trick. But her parents are both really dismissive and they're like, oh, again, whatever, you know. And then at the end of the episode, at least her mom's like, oh, I'm sorry you had a horrible nightmare. And her dad's like, what now?
And he even
such a supportive dad.
He did even say, like, it's probably one of the last lines is, I'll never be able to go back to sleep now. I'm like, sorry, you have to be a parent, you dick.
You dick. This is just going to be an episode where we talk trash about the whole cast except for Jill.
Exactly.
The only other plot hole I had was the scene in the library. Her two friends, Stacy and the other girl. I don't think they ever say
they
names.
Don't say, I think, no, they don't.
Are checking out Rick. He comes over and you could tell he kind of has a crush maybe on Jill, which her friends are like, oh, why do you have a crush on her? She's a nerd. That's my impression of these 90s teenagers. Mm-hmm. And they're going through a bag and they find a troll doll. And Rick's like, oh, cool, trolls. I used to play with these as a kid. And I'm like, trolls are very popular in 1993. I would say they're almost at the peak of their popularity.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he owns them or that's a plot hole, but just the fact that they're like, oh, she has like troll dolls that are super old or something.
And how old could they be if she's only 13? So
right.
They're at most 13 years old.
It was a 1980s troll doll.
I had actually listed the troll doll as a dated reference, but then I was like, you know, one of the top grossing movies last year was Troll World Tour.
Yeah, that's
true. So
true.
how dated is it? It's more of a timeless reference.
I think, obviously, being kids in the 90s, I had a very big troll doll collection that I share with my brother. So I can buy that Rick probably wasn't into trolls because I did read, because I was trying to look up when troll dolls were super, super popular in the 90s, and it just said mid-90s.
Yeah.
But I did see that they tried everything in their power to, like, appeal to boys. And I remember like my brother had like a Raiders one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I had some for sure.
Yeah.
I remember being genuinely mad because I remember the commercials and they always had a gym.
Yeah. I had one of those.
On their navel.
Yeah.
And I had like 4 that were bought as gifts. And I looked. And every one of them that didn't have a gym on their belly, I was mad. I had one that had it, and I was so excited when I got it. I was like, one finally has it. Because then I felt like they weren't, it wasn't cool.
Yeah.
But I did have this one that had Walkman and glasses. And the glasses reminded me of Bret Hart's glasses, which are very iconic. If you don't know who Bret Hart is, just Google Bret Hart sunglasses. They were weird. And I thought that was the coolest one, but he didn't have the gym on the belly, so I was kind of disappointed with it.
You're like, trash. Throw it.
How many did you have? Would you say that had the jewel.
I only had a couple of the ones that had a jewel. My favorite one had just like a white jewel, but it had rainbow hair. And it was just a naked one.
Yeah,
it didn't have a theme or anything like that.
Mine was naked, rainbow hair, and he was holding a get well soon sign because I got it when I had my tonsils removed.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to all of them.
Yeah, I think they got thrown out.
Yeah. I don't know.
This was Trolls Talk with Ryan and Ashley. That's cool that your brother had a Raiders one.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's the only one I can remember that was like geared towards like boys or man. Yeah. Man.
Put camouflage. Give him a gun. It'll appeal to boys.
Did you have any red flag alerts?
I had one.
Oh, go ahead.
And this was just me creating my own narrative. And this is when Jill has her nightmare where she meets the Sandman.
Yes.
But she walks through this room and there's all of these vials with different powders in them.
Yeah.
But they're named like catnap, out like a light, snooze. And I just went to the dark thing of, why is there so many drugs?
I did write down a joke about there at one point when the Sandman is introducing himself, he's mixing up, because I'm assuming he's like making different concoctions to have people go to sleep, but he's like testing it on himself. I'm like, he's high on his own supply.
I did go, ironically, no melatonin.
Yeah.
You got all these different concoctions over here.
Well, that melatonin doesn't sound as majestic.
It's not as fun as catnap. Yeah. But he's getting high on his own supply.
That's funny. My only red flag alert was just the fact that she showed kind of a history of checking under the bed. Mm-hmm. And then the one time she doesn't check under the bed is when her brother's under there and he grabs her legs, which is a legit fear I still have as an adult. I'm glad we have a bed where people can't be under it anymore because we used to.
Yeah, we used to have a bed where our dogs would go underneath it every day.
Yes.
And we'd have to like tell them it was time to go to bed so they would leave.
Yeah.
But growing up, I had a legit fear there was stuff under it.
Oh, for sure.
I think back when I was a kid, I put so much crap underneath my bed. There could have been something underneath it.
You wouldn't even notice.
But also, I like to hide underneath the bed too.
Yeah.
So it's weird. I had this fear that there was a person down there, but then also at the same time, I like to hide there. I was a complicated kid.
But I did like that when she does check under the bed, the third time is when the Sandman's underneath there, and that was fucking creepy.
Yeah.
And I was just like, don't go with him. And he grabbed her and basically kidnaps her against her will.
Yeah.
Which is what kidnap means. I don't know why I said against her will.
There's no kidnapping with
kidnapping
consent.
with her permission.
Yeah.
I don't know. They have those like professional kidnapping services. Like if you want to like, have you ever heard of those?
No.
Where you can like hire somebody to kidnap you so you can get like an adrenaline rush. It's a thing.
That's a thing?
People are weird. It was probably created by white people, let's be honest.
That sounds horrifying. The idea, like I'm a paranoid person. I don't need to be more paranoid and know that this is going to be the day someone's going to take me.
Yeah, but there's people that like to push that limit of adrenaline. Obviously, we're not those people.
No, we are not.
But there's people out there that are like, yeah, that sounds fun.
There's some, if you Google that, you're going to have fun explaining kidnapping services.
I already have a crazy search history.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
It's okay.
It scares me.
Anyway, what was your funniest part of the episode?
We've kind of established that I think her parents, Jill's family in general, is awful.
Kind of?
Yeah. But I did like when her brother's trying to tell her she needs to grow up. He's like, you're 13 now. Listen to the radio. Go to a concert. And I was just like, oh, that's what makes you a 13, is you listen to the radio.
Go to a concert.
Go to a concert. Listen to NPR.
Yeah.
Like, do you turn 13, get a radio that day, and you have now crossed that barrier?
You're an adult now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just, when you're 12, there's no radio for you.
Yeah.
Music is not in your life. What was your funniest moment?
Mine was, it was the second time John, her brother, scares her. He is wearing a mask and she's sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
And she's obviously upset.
Yeah.
And she's yelling at him and it's scaring him. And he like crawls over the bed all scared. I'm like, I just think it's funny that this little girl can scare her big brother who constantly terrorizes her.
Yeah.
And then the minute she, is aggressive towards him a little bit.
He's like, how dare you?
He's like, oh, I was just kidding.
I was just standing over you while you slept wearing a Halloween mask. God.
Just being a nice brother. I don't know if we've had an episode so far that we've rewatched where two people have had a good, like, brother and sister relationship or brother and brother relationship. I feel like it's very much a theme in this series where the little sister or the big brother or vice versa is like a total asshole. Hey, I'm a little sister. And my brother was not the nicest, but he wasn't constantly terrorizing me all the time.
No, and I'm the little brother, and I know. Two older brothers who, we fought, but they didn't ruin my life by any means.
I think I equally terrorized him just as much.
Same. But also I'm thinking I have tons of good memories about a good relationship with my brothers growing up and playing with them and having fun. It wasn't just, I'm the older brother, I gotta pick on you.
Yeah.
No.
Constantly tell you you're stupid because you like fairy tales.
Yeah. My brother didn't walk in on my 13th birthday and tell me to grow up and listen to the radio.
Like, I could totally see your one brother doing that.
Like, shut up, Danny.
What was your cringiest part?
My cringiest part was before they even got into the story. The Midnight Society's sitting around a campfire, and Kristen tells them that fairy tales can be scary tales.
That was mine.
Cheesiest line ever.
Also, I liked when, I believe it was Frank said, kitty story is a kitty story, because he has to be the Debbie Downer of the group.
Yeah.
I'm so tough. Well, because I think he's filling a void, an Eric-sized void in the Midnight Society. It's the first episode without Eric, guys.
Yeah, it's a Glenless episode.
Yeah. Sad.
Very sad.
But yeah, it was good. Mm-hmm. And Kristen was dressed up, as she does. Like, she is always over the top. I feel like everybody else is just like, oh, it's a Kristen week.
Do you know who we know that would be Kristen?
Who?
If we were in a Midnight Society group? You. You would wear a dress like that to come tell the stories. I could totally see you doing that.
I guess you're right.
That'd be you.
I feel attacked. Did you have any additional things you wanted to talk about?
I'll talk about them a little bit later.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did, and I was going to mention this when you had kind of talked about when she goes into the Sandman's world. I was like, it's like she slipped into an 80s music video with like the fog and the sheer curtains just hanging out of nowhere.
It was a Prince music video.
Yeah, and like over the top props.
Yeah.
Just
wall clocks everywhere.
Yeah. It was like a Tom Petty, Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
What song was that?
Last Dance for Mary Jane.
Was it?
Yeah.
You sure?
Wasn't it?
I don't know.
I could be wrong. I feel like that was the one.
You might be right.
I don't know.
I don't think it was.
I just remember it being on pop-up video a lot.
I feel like Last Dance with Mary Jane was like where there was a body on the beach.
I'm going to look it up.
Okay.
The one that is, it's actually Don't Come Around Here No More.
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. I don't know why I thought it was Last Dance for Mary Jane. I apologize.
It's okay.
Yeah.
You can be wrong. It happens.
For me, more than others.
All right. Do you want to move on to the next category?
Yes. Our next category is called When Was This Made Again? A reminder of everything 90s, where we talk about fashion, dated reference, offensive joke, and technology. Leaving it in.
I was going to.
Okay. What did you think about the fashion?
It was great. Mm-hmm. Jill at one point is rocking a Blossom hat.
I literally put Jill taking all of her fashion advice from Blossom Russo.
Yeah, because she has also like at one point a vest. It's like floral vest and just a lot of layers, you know?
Yeah, that was a sweet hat.
Mm-hmm.
For me, the boy Rick.
Yes.
Who gets that dressed up to go to the library? He was wearing jeans, a dress shirt that is tucked into his jeans, a necktie, and then he rounds out the affair with a backwards baseball cap.
He looked like a 14-year-old boy who had to dress up because they had a football game.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
You had to dress up on Fridays.
I distinctly remember my brother playing middle school football, and he would always have to wear a dress shirt and tie.
Yeah.
The day of the game. When he was in high school, you would just wear your jersey on game day.
Yeah.
Like all day.
Did you have any dated references or offensive jokes you want to talk about other than the trolls?
No, I didn't. I felt disappointed in myself.
I did like that in Jill's bedroom there was like white wicker furniture, and that just totally screamed 90s child. Or just 90s bedroom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why were we so obsessed with wicker as an actual functional thing?
I always have never been a fan of it.
No, not even like for outdoor stuff.
Yeah.
It always sounds like it's going to break when I sit in it.
Yeah, never a fan of the wicker furniture.
I did like some of the comebacks that her friends said about her. Or because she had said, like, you guys are a couple silly gooses because they like a boy.
Uh-huh.
And they're like, oh, she talks like my grandpa. And then the other girl's like, is she like a baby or something? And I wish I could be over-exaggerating how they said that.
No, that was a pretty spot-on recreation.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was impressed with your impression.
But that's all I had. Obviously, not a lot of offensive jokes.
No.
In this episode.
Yeah.
Or in this show in general.
Yeah, they don't really go with too much offensiveness.
Yeah.
I mean, they're in Canada, so lots of sorries.
Yeah, so many sorries.
So many sorries. Did you have any technology?
A lot of clocks in the dream world.
A lot.
Tons.
Set to different times.
Yeah. Well,
but not...
Sandman has to reach different time zones.
Touche.
I don't quite understand. I guess this could have went with the plot, but it just popped in my head. So are we supposed to think the Sandman is evil? Because it seems like he's doing a service by making people fall asleep. Sleep is very essential.
Yes.
You know?
But he seems like he preys on you when you're asleep. So he's not really doing a service.
It got so dark.
Yeah.
He preys on. Is he just drugging everybody?
That's what I thought about, his little vials of powder.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't have a prescription for those. You know what piece of technology I saw?
Oh, what?
Jill has in her room a metronome.
She does.
Which I had to look up what the name was called, because I called it the tempo keeper thingy from music class.
The tempo
keeper thingy. Yep. And I was like, oh, it's called a metronome. I remember those from 3rd grade music class.
Yeah. We used them in choir, too.
Yeah. Weirdly, it seemed like set that to go to sleep.
Maybe it's just like a repetitive noise is a good thing for her.
Okay.
It's like the opposite of me.
Yeah.
Repetitive noise makes me angry.
Yes.
I want to punch things.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Shall we move on?
We shall. As always on Ruining Our Childhood presents Are We Still Afraid of the Dark? It is award season. We give out 2 awards every week, the first of which is the Kel Mitchell Award for Exceptional Overacting.
Yeah.
Whom did you give your award to?
I gave mine to Bobcat.
Okay.
As the Sandman.
Mm-hmm.
There's just too much going on there, and I don't get it. I don't get him. I don't get how he is popular. That's just me.
Okay.
I liked his character in, like, Scrooged.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just too much.
Yeah.
For even a 30-minute episode, and he was probably in, like, 10 minutes of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. He's just a little over the top and kind of mumbled his lines, and it wasn't scary, but he also was, like, a little creepy.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know.
We'll talk about him in a minute.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Who did you give yours to?
I gave mine to Jill Samantha Chimerica. I don't know if I'm saying her.
I said it, Comerica.
Comerica, okay.
Like Comerica Theater.
I just felt like everything she said was overacting. It was hard because there was a bigger cast, but they don't establish anybody. It feels like it's mainly her and Bobcat getting all the lines, and then everybody else got 1 or 2 lines. So I just thought she was a little over the top, but there wasn't a lot to choose from.
That's true.
So
awesome. Also interesting,
yes.
Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The next award is the Kenan Thompson Award for just doing the best under the circumstances. And who did you give your award to?
I gave mine to Bobcat Goldthwait.
Why?
I totally agree with you. He overacts. And you even described it, though. At times it came across as creepy, which I thought worked in this sense. And I feel like it's more over the top than overacting with him.
Like it's done on purpose.
Yes. And I feel like in the 90s, early 90s, that works.
Yeah.
But obviously nowadays, I think that gets annoying. And that would be maybe why he's not in so many things nowadays. But he was a big thing back then.
Yeah. No, I get it. You're always going over popularity over substance.
That's true.
Just kidding.
But I totally understand when you think he was, by definition, overacting.
Yeah.
Yes. Whom did you give your award to?
I gave mine to Jill.
Get out of town!
Yeah. Samantha Comerica. Because I thought she was fine.
Okay.
And I just mostly felt bad for her character because I feel like I hated everybody.
Yeah.
Because the whole episode was just people going, you shouldn't like things.
Mm-hmm.
Just conform.
No, yeah, her.
Just forget about your imagination. You suck. And then at the end of the episode, she's like, okay, I'll conform.
Yeah. That was a kind of a bummer to me.
So, I mean, I just thought she wasn't a bad character and she was fine.
Okay.
There was nobody else to choose from. Really.
No, it was 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And we swapped them.
Do you want to move on to our final thoughts?
Absolutely.
What did you think?
I did want to mention that Jill needs a lock on her bedroom door at this point.
Yes.
Your brother is an effing creep.
Yeah.
Because there's picking on your sister and trying to scare her, but to do it nightly? Get a hobby, bro.
Yeah, he's the one that should be getting a hobby.
Exactly.
Not making her feel bad for having a hobby.
She has no reason to apologize for being a pain. John, on the other hand, go ahead and apologize. You're a dick.
Yeah.
And a pain. Also, I did like that Kristen's book that she was reading was called Fairy Tales.
Just generic fairy tales.
Good old fairy tales.
I was confused at the end. I didn't really know what the last line meant.
Yeah.
It was Bobcat's character, Sandman, something about, like, if Jill would have known what it meant to get back into her bed, she'd never get back into her bed again.
Yeah.
Or something. It was confusing.
So I'm like, is she going to die now? Because she went back into her bed?
Because she decided not to be into fairy tales anymore.
Yeah.
I just feel like the lesson to be learned from this episode is that you're supposed to conform when people pressure you to conform and don't have any interests.
Yeah, conform.
Yeah.
That's correct.
I mean, we all learn that sooner or later. Just some of us are better at not doing it, I guess.
Yeah, it said that at 13. Conform!
Yes. So, were you going to give it a Betty Ann thumbs up or a reluctant Eric thumbs up?
I had initially leaned towards an Eric.
Mm-hmm.
However, I like the story that's told, and I thought it was a decent episode more than anything. It was a fun one. So I gave it a Betty Ann.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm just giving it an Eric because I didn't like the ending, like I said. And I didn't like the fact that I feel like everybody else should have learned to just accept her for who she is instead of her going, I guess I'll be boring now.
I thought it was one of those ones where I was rooting for her the whole time. She seems like she's too nice for everyone.
Right.
But I agree with you. It does suck that at the end she's like, you're right, I was a pain. And you're like, no, you weren't.
What did you do wrong?
You're a kid.
You're a child.
Yeah, enjoy life. But I thought it was fun. But I get where you're going.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. So that was our first episode back, Season 2 of Are You Afraid of the Dark? Season 2 of Are We Still Afraid of the Dark? Podcast,
yes.
In case you forgot what you're listening to. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with another...
We will be back in 2 weeks.
Why?
Because we switched this to the bi-weekly format.
Thank you. We're doing bi-weekly episodes.
Yeah.
Because we can. That's what... We can decide that.
We'll be back at the end of January.
Yes.
Yeah.
Check out our Instagram at Ruining Our Childhood for any updates on episodes, and our website at ruiningourchildhood.com.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want, head over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a review.
For sure.
That'd be awesome.
We always appreciate those.
Yeah. And thanks for listening. We'll see you soon. We won't see you. You'll hear us.
You will hear us.
Yeah.
We won't hear you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay, bye.